Module 6, Lesson 4 deals with solving one-step multiplication problems. I think you're going to find this works very similar to the addition and subtraction that we've already been using. Students will use the division property of an equality to write and solve one-step multiplication equations. That's going to be your content objective. They claim this will be a 2-day lesson, but I think you're going to find it's a pretty simple 2-day lesson. The concepts are not really that hard if you could do the addition and subtraction stuff. The internet is a global system of computer networks that reaches people all over the world. Some countries have more access than others. One of the fastest growing populations of internet users is in the country of Mali. They have seen their internet population grow by almost 6 times over the recent 5-year span. In a recent year, 12.2% of Mali's population were active internet users. There are 2.21 million active internet users in Mali. What are some steps you could take to write an equation in order to find the total population of Mali? Well, these are some of the things we're going to learn about in this lesson. Our inquiry question says, how can you use a model to write multiplication equations? So let's take a look at it. In 5 days, Hamaz ran a total of 10 miles. He ran the same number of miles each day. And they want us to take and write an equation that we could use to determine how many miles he ran each day. So first question is, what do we know? We know that in 5 days he ran a total of 10 miles. What do we need to find? We need to find how many miles he ran each day. Options using a bar diagram? Yeah, probably. We'll see how it all works out here. So to use a bar diagram in this, we can take and look and we can see that the bar diagram was divided into 5 equal sections for the 5 days. Now, I don't think it actually said that he ran the same amount. No, but it doesn't tell us there each day, but the total was 10 miles after 5 days. And from there, we can say, well, the total, well, that was 10 miles. And since the total was 10 miles, and he had 5 days he did it in, then that means that each day, that's going to be your D value. So they labeled the unknown values as D. So D times what? 5 days, that's going to end up equaling 10. From here, they're going to take that and say 5 times D, or the D times 5, as I've said it earlier, equals 10. That's good. So we've got an equation now on how to solve this problem. Now, the textbook didn't say anything to us about solving the equation. It just said write an equation. So we've done what they asked. We wrote an equation to find out, to represent how many miles he ran each day. Here's another example. Jillian has owned her cell phone for 12 months, which is 3 times longer than her sister Allie has owned her cell phone. How many months has Allie had her cell phone? And they also want us to take and use a bar diagram on this one, so let's take a look and see how they're going to do that. Once again, we're going to have a solid bar. What do we know? Well, we know that the bar needs to be broken into 3 equal sections because she has her phone 3 times longer than her sister. We know that 12 is equal to how long she owned her phone. And we know we're going to need a variable for each one of those sections, so they call that M for the number of months that her sister owned her phone. So 3 times some number of months is going to equal to 12, and you can see that right there is the formula that they wrote for that situation. Once again, it didn't ask you to solve it, it just asked you to come up with an equation for it. Continuing on with resource number 4, we're going to learn to write multiplication equations. It says you can write equations to represent real-world problems involving multiplication, and we're going to take and select some words to figure out how. First off, describe the mathematics of the problem used in words. Use only the most important words in the problem. Next, you're going to need to define your variables to represent the unknown quantity. Does any of this look familiar to you guys? It should. And then from there, you're going to translate these words and variables into an algebraic equation. So let's take a minute and watch this video about how to do this.
Kosumi is saving an equal amount each week for 4 weeks to buy a video game for $55. You are asked to write an equation that could be used to determine the amount she is saving each week. To write an equation for the problem, start by describing the situation. Identify any key words and numbers. You know that Kosumi is saving an equal amount each week and that she is saving for 4 weeks in all. You also know that she will save a total of $55. Next, use the key information to model the problem with words. Kosumi is saving an equal amount each week. Combining equal amounts involves multiplication. So, the number of weeks times the amount she is saving each week is equal to the total amount she will save.
That's step 1, writing in
now,
words.
Now, define a variable to represent the unknown amount. Let the variable a represent the amount saved each week.
Defining
Finally,
the variable.
Use the word model to write an equation. The number of weeks Kosumi is saving is 4. The amount she is saving each week is represented by the variable a, and the total amount she will save is $55. So, an equation that models the situation is 4a equals 55.
Well, that's pretty simple. I know it gets a little complex in y'all's minds when you see all those many words there you have to work with, but if you slow down, read the problem, reread the problem, and then think about how you're going to use that, I think you're going to find that it's actually not as bad as you think it is. Some key words you can look at is going to be by or equal and things of that nature. These are some things that you know that you're going to have multiplication going on. Equal can also be divided though, if it's divided into equal parts. So here we get a problem for ourselves to work on. Vincent and some friends share the cost of a season ticket package for a local football team. The package costs $745 for each person. That indicates there's probably going to be dividing or multiplying the same amount for to get it. And each person contributed $186.25. So, write a multiplication problem that can be used to find out how many friends contributed to buy the tickets. How do you know it uses multiplication? Well, we're going to have to take the number of friends and multiply it times how much each one of them paid in order to get the total amount right there. Let's keep moving here. The first thing we're going to do is to describe the problem in words. So we're going to say that the number of friends times the amount each person paid, that's going to end up equaling your total cost. We got that part right. Let's move on to the next part. Now we're going to use the variable f to represent friends. F friends, you know, that actually works pretty good. And then we're going to take and say that use a variable to describe f to represent the number of friends who did what? Contributed to the tickets. All right, that part's going to check good. And now we're going to have to take and convert those words into a mathematical equation. So what do we have? We have the number of friends times the $186.25 is going to equal to the $745. I did it this way because that's the way we like to write it mathematically, where you put the number and then the variable. They may want it the other way, where they have the variable and then the number, but let's see. They said that my way was good. Now I'm just kind of curious, so we're going to reset this one and we're going to take and go back and do it the other way and see if they give credit for it, because technically that is right as well. See, it works either way. In the end, you would say that F times $186.25 equals to $745, or $186.25 times X equals to $745. Either one of those is a good equation for this problem. Now it's going to be your turn. pause the video, work the problem, check your answer. Let's take a look at it. Dimitri volunteers at his local library. He spends 3/4 of an hour on each shift, and last weekend he spent 4½ hours volunteering at the library. And so they want to know how many shifts would he have worked. Select the multiplication equation that can be used to determine how many shifts S Dimitri worked. So we're going to take that 3/4 times the number of shifts. That's going to equal to the total time. So right there I got 3/4 times the number of shifts. That one works, and that's going to be the only one that does. Check your answer. The answer checks. Easy math. Anybody can do this stuff. We're going to stop here for this lesson. We'll come back for part 2, where we're going to get back into some more learning on how to solve these multiplication equations.